Network. That's youtube.com/Sire Studios, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire, and you can always go to secretsofthesire.com. This podcast will be available on all major podcasting apps immediately following this live stream. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. Anywhere you can download podcasts, you will find us. Tonight, Jim Lee speaks. Spielberg out at Indy 5. G.I. Joe returning to film. And we get to make a really big announcement. All this tonight. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, joined as always by my cohort in crime, Lord of the live stream himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
Wednesday again.
It is Wednesday again.
This happens every week. We got to do something about this.
Now, you were watching some sort of video you were trying to tell me about that got you.
Yes, there's a YouTube video, a YouTube channel called Panels to Pixels, and
I like panels. Yeah, they have they're a podcast too.
Okay, I don't do podcasts. I'm strictly a video man. You know, I only do YouTube. I'm very sophisticated in that manner. But isn't it great that we have this hit podcast and we both don't listen to podcasts? Yeah. Wow. I mean, we don't want to. You don't want to get stagnant.
It's true. I don't want to be influenced by what other people are doing.
Exactly. We want to make our own mistakes. We want to fumble around in the dark because that's the most fun, right? But it's called the Kurt Cobain of comics. That's what it's called. And it's the headline of it is "Why You're Wrong About Rob Liefeld." And I don't know if
something didn't happen over the weekend with him, right? Like he's still on this earth, correct?
Yeah, he's alive.
Yeah.
He has not done any. He has not harmed himself that I know of. They just to get the audience up to speed. Rob Liefeld is a comic book artist, very famous comic book artist, famous for good reasons and bad reasons at the same time.
Yeah.
He is one of the founding members of Image Comics, which was a revolution in our industry.
Which published Descendant by yours truly. Just saying.
I'll just wait.
I like patting myself on the back.
While you self-flagellate, So anyway,
now available as a trade paperback on SireStudiosInc.com. See what I did there? Yeah.
That's why I didn't keep going. See what I did there?
Hack my stuff. Go ahead.
There's more.
Buy my book. Remember that on the Critic? You ever see that on the Critic? Critic is one of the best shows of all time, by the way. I don't know if anybody has seen it.
Disagree.
It's one of the best cartoons of all time.
Disagree.
Oh, we will have an entire retro review on the Critic.
I just, I wish I could finish the story that you asked me to.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah,
okay. I'll just wait here. That's good. So it's Wednesday night. What else I got?
You're supposed to power through.
Is that with a? All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I mess that dynamic up, and I just I'll wait.
You missed that memo, right?
Yeah. Well, we don't really use memos. That's the problem. We don't distribute information.
Note to self. Start distributing notes to self.
So just send me a text. Send me a text when I'm lingering. Like, hey, keep going. Even though I'm talking right now, keep going.
Move it, baby. Move it.
Motor through. Yeah, motor through it. We're slowing down. But anyway, I watched this podcast, and it was. But I didn't. I thought the comparison of Rob Liefeld with Kurt Cobain was a little dubious. But to continue to clarify, Rob Liefeld's kind of a notorious artist. He was one of the founding members of hot button word Image. Here we go.
I've already self-promoted. Go ahead.
I know. I'm wondering if that's going to trigger you again. And then you're
pausing on it. You're pausing on it would actually trigger it.
I was pausing to give you room. I don't like to be stepped on. I'm an adult, damn it. Along with Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, right? And they started Image Comics.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rob Liefeld, it's arguable, and I don't agree with the term.
Yeah.
I don't agree with this term. It's arguable he's a bad artist. I don't agree with that
Anatomically speaking, he is not the most accurate artist.
Well, in the science of sequential storytelling in the comic book field, it's arguable that he breaks enough rules.
Yes.
Where it's a cross between him being an utter visionary pioneer or a disaster.
Right.
It depends on which
Whereas
side of the spectrum
Jim Lee
you
would
fall
be
on.
considered the Rush of comic book artists in terms of anatomical and storytelling correctness.
See, you can't jump from
Rob Liefeld would be considered the Ramones.
you can't just jump to musical analogies though. I mean,
did.
you gotta Rush. Come on.
Rush is considered
Rush.
the most technically accurate rock band.
Jim Lee is the Beethoven of comic books.
Oh, all right. Well, if we're going, all right, that's
Beethoven.
fine. If you're going classical music, yeah, I'm going rock music because I don't really listen to classical music.
All right.
But you're also you said something to me off air that I thought was really interesting though. It was like you Google the net worth of some of the creators.
Oh, don't. Okay, yeah.
I like that. That's good. See, that's
not really good. That's kind of weird.
It's not. No,
weird
people.
And shabby. That's a little. That's
people do
behavior.
that all the time.
But they don't admit they do that.
I mean, I don't do that. But
of course not. Of course, you never do. No. You just get triggered every time the word image comes up. But that's okay.
Google the net worth of Michael Dolce. A lot of negatives. A lot of negative symbols come up. So
don't Google either of us. Just don't. Just don't. It's a mistake. But Rob Liefeld's a very noisy person.
Dubious analogy to Kurt Cobain.
It is. It's a very dubious analogy to Kurt Cobain because Kurt Cobain is
well, he's dead.
He is no longer with us. Yeah. But he's also not really. It's not really an argument as to what his genius level is.
Right. He has always
his contributions have been.
Right. He has always been essentially revered from day one. As soon as he knocked Michael Jackson off the #1 charts.
Yeah, he's like a '90s Beatle. Like nobody really questions the artistic contributions. Oh my God.
Correct.
Of the Beatles.
Right.
So. I mean, you may not like Nirvana, but you cannot argue about its
methinks because Kurt Cobain is such a Google searched keyword that they were trying to kind of hawk onto it. I get what they're trying to say.
Panels to Pixels never actually explains why they make that comparison. They go on a long tirade about, and it's a usual tirade. It's interesting. And they make a lot of good points as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. They go on a long tirade about why, even with the supposed mistakes or inabilities of Rob Liefeld, which he's an artist, so I don't denigrate him. His choices are his choices, and it is gold to somebody. Every piece of art is gold to someone. He in spite of all these things that he's notorious for. Yeah, he's still,
it's amazing to me, right? It's amazing to me.
A lot of energy and feeling and emotion.
Rob Liefeld is actually the Green Day of comics. No, they really are, because when Green Day first came onto the scene,
on these musical analogies, right?
Because the title. What was the title of the article?
It's not. He's not the Nirvana. He's Kurt Cobain.
No, I know.
So you're talking. Yeah. We're talking about a personality. Versus his art, All right, so he would have to be the Billy Joel if it worked in the analogy.
The only thing I can think of is that because Kurt Cobain, as a songwriter, is not necessarily making the most complex stuff, and as a singer, is usually generally off key substantially. That's the only thing I can think of.
My argument isn't that particular, because that's a good analogy. That's a good distinction if you want to, but the fact that they just left it open to interpretation was my argument about. It's like, well, wait, you got to tell me why he's the Kurt Cobain of comics.
What I'm finding that amazes
he's still alive,
right?
He's still doing what he's doing.
What amazes me about that article in general, or that video in general, though, is how the pendulum has swung back in Rob Liefeld's favor after all these years, though. And that's the part that amazes me. No, it doesn't. It doesn't always. No, it doesn't always. But like when he first came on the scene, he was revered for, again, no one had ever drawn like him before. And then when you started to really seep into the actual art, you're like, oh, as an artist, you'd be like, this guy can't draw feet. Those muscles, there are muscles that shouldn't belong.
There's always smoke. Why is there smoke inside the house?
Captain America.
Why is there mist rising inside the danger room? I don't understand.
Captain America Heroes Reborn image, to me, will go down in infamy as one of the worst drawings I've ever seen of a man's chest.
And ironically, the video said that image was never published. It's a notorious image, but it was never actually genuinely published.
Correct, right. Because Marvel looked at it and said, Someone's chest doesn't start from their neck. Their neck does not extend all the way down to the floor. And then when the chest actually extends. No, again, you can pick it apart. That being said, Rob Liefeld was one of my favorite artists as a kid. His stuff did pop. His inks. Rob Liefeld, I'll argue, is actually a better inker than a penciler, because when he inks his own stuff, the energy pops off the page. And so,
well, because I think a lot of inkers, I think the conventional wisdom from back in the day was a lot of inkers were, quote unquote, fixing his work.
Correct.
They were inking it.
Yeah.
So when he started inking, I think when he started X-Force and he started inking himself, becoming really big.
Yeah.
That's when people started noticing his work was a little, like, there was something quote unquote off about his work.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't hiding any of his, any of the foibles that he
deficiencies
was supposedly. Yeah.
Now there's the whole thing. There's the whole thing about the middle of the X-Force run, though, where Merritt Michaels was essentially drawing everything around the heads. Like, he would just draw faces and heads, and that's it. And then Merritt Michaels actually went in and drew all the bodies. So there's also that to dive in. There's so much to actually dive into when it comes to Liefeld.
And he's got a very bad online presence where he argues and curses at his fans and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I mean, also the fans tend
big Laker fan too.
The fans tend to behave badly. So
yeah.
It's one of those things.
Again,
but what I was really mainly looking at, because he's basically the noisiest of the three who started Image, right? Yeah. And so, like, as we were talking before, his net worth is like about $2 million. It's nothing to sneeze at making comic books for a living. Coming out of all of that with $2 million. The thing is that his counterpart, Jim Lee, his contemporary, or one of his contemporaries, Jim Lee, who's also now we're going to go into another story about.
later on.
Yeah, he's a publisher now of DC. He's worth about, according to the internet, he's worth about $6 million. Right. So that's a hefty. That's great. Now, the quietest of the three, Todd McFarlane, who you never hear anything about or from, $300 million.
He's explainable because he started the toy company. That's why he
started the toy company. Yeah. One of his characters became a movie, which neither of the other two did. I mean, okay, you got Deadpool for Rob Liefeld. Correct. Now.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, none of Jim Lee's endeavors ever, expanded beyond the comic book.
Right. But you got to figure also too. This is back in '91. Youngblood #1 sold 1 million copies.
Yes,
the cover price was $2. 60% of that went to the distributors like Diamond, and back then there was a Capital City distributors as well too. There was an actual competition. So it sold 1 million copies. The creator made 40% of 1 million. He made 3 issues. Right there on gross alone is 1.5 million, something to that extent, or $1 million. So to be only worth 2 million at this point, even after all that,
yeah, and then us using the word only.
But still,
in comparison to other people who there's a Sci-Fi Wire is most of their videos are still on YouTube. Which is a component of the Sci-Fi Channel, and they interviewed Todd McFarlane, and they have like an hour-long interview with Todd McFarlane going through his and it is absolutely fascinating. Anybody comic book industry bound, or industry adjacent, or in the midst of the industry in and of itself should watch it, because it's fantastic. It really
awesome.
Is. But yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said about the difference between making a loud noise and making a loud contribution. Yeah. Rob Liefeld contributed at the front end. Yeah. And now he's very loud about his contributions and about his legacy. Sure. On the back end. Whereas Todd McFarlane contributed throughout. You know,
There will
the
be
front, the middle, and the end.
There will be an Image Comics movie. There was a documentary about it, but there will be a movie because there's a lot of hearsay, which we won't repeat here,
Of
about
course.
what went on and all that
Who's
stuff.
to know?
And
Who's to know what's correct and what's not correct?
Yeah.
You know, I merely say that the interviews are fascinating.
Just like there will be a Secrets of the Sire movie.
Required viewing. Oh yeah, whatever.
Lawrence Fishburne will play you. It's done. It's cast already. On that note, we will segue into our opening credits. Which one do you want to start with first? This is I'm going to start with this one. This is actually not the eye-catching one, but I like this one.
I don't know why you even asked me, so just go ahead and do what you're going to do.
Paramount is relaunching the G.I. Joe movies with its Snake Eyes spinoff, which just wrapped this week, developing more Transformers movies, and now there's a movement on M.A.S.K. Chris Brenner, who co-wrote January's surprise hit Bad Boys for Life, has been tapped to pen M.A.S.K. That's M.A.S.K. Paramount
Mobile
and Hasbro's
Armored Strike Command.
Yeah. Big screen take on the toy line that was launched in the mid-1980s. F. Gary Gray is attached to direct the action-adventure project, which, in case you need a refresher, centered on an elite strike force, Mobile Armored Strike Command. Very good.
Said that.
I know. But with a K. That's
with
actually
a K.
right. That's why I'm emphasizing it. Squaring off against Venom, vicious evil network of mayhem. I actually remember that show, and I loved that show when I was a kid.
And the leader of Venom was named Miles Mayhem.
Look at you, man! You are that I don't remember.
Yeah,
that
I had the Switchblade, his helicopter, to turn into a jet when I was a kid. Very
early to do this, but I want to do this right now. Over under box office for M.A.S.K.
Oh boy. Look, it could be it could be a Venom, right? It could be one of those Runaways, right? It depends on the film. It really does. I mean, if they come into it counting on nostalgia to get them over the finish line, and they don't contribute anything to it, or they don't put anything innovative into the storyline of the movie, or the production, and whatever, then disaster. You know, it's kind of one of these lackluster disappointments that they're always talking about. But if they just put some oomph into it and some heart behind it, it could be something. Even if it is not on the, as we were talking about just now, even if it's not front loaded, it could be back loaded. You know, it could come out of it with a nostalgic, resurgence of the genre or whatever, people appreciating it.
Over under 40 million. Over under 40 million opening weekend.
I hate these things. This is the dumbest segment. It really is. I don't know.
I'm going to go under. I would say. I'm going to say
it's the safest thing to be negative. You know, it's safe to be negative.
Well, I want it to succeed.
Yeah, but you just said it. You just voted against it. You just bet against it.
Exactly. It's the only way it's going to succeed. Didn't we learn anything from Birds of Prey? All right. Moving on, James Mangold in talks to replace Steven Spielberg as Indiana Jones 5 director. This is from The Hollywood Reporter. Another Helmer may be carrying the bullet for the new installment of Indiana Jones. Ford v. Ferrari director James Mangold is in early talks to helm the fifth installment of the franchise, taking over for Spielberg, who has directed all of the other installments. Harrison Ford remains on board. It's the latest creative change for the feature, which was first announced in March 2016. It was initially given a release date of last year, July 19th, 2019. And subsequently pushed back to July 10th, 2020. I don't see how they're hitting that, considering they don't have a director.
No.
In June 2018, Jonathan Kasdan was brought in to write the new draft and delayed the production to a release date of July 9th, 2021. The choice to hand the reins over fell to Spielberg. He decided to step down so the next generation of filmmakers could usher the franchise forward. Let me look 2 points on this real quick. One, I finally got to see Ford v Ferrari on the plane to Chicago. What an amazing movie. Really amazing. Matt Damon. Christian Bale has the ability to make himself look 6 feet tall on screen if he wants to, or 7 feet tall on screen, or look 5 foot tall on screen, depending on the character. And his like physical transformations to me are still I marvel at that.
Ironically, the only role I never believed Christian Bale in was the role of where he played a Batman. You know, where he had a costume on and everything that was helping him. Every time he's Christian Bale all by himself, I'm like, that guy is definitely a psychopath murderer. You know, or whatever. You know, or an anorexic
Right.
or whatever
Right.
his. But when he put the Batman mask on, I was like, that is not Batman.
Yeah.
That's Christian Bale in a Batman suit.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So that's the thing is, well, anyway, but I digress.
I liked Ford v Ferrari. I
And
thought it
Mangold
was
with
really
Logan.
well
I mean,
done.
Logan was amazing. So, I mean, that's that's a great one. I just, here's the thing. I don't actually think Steven Spielberg is doing exactly the right thing. You would sit there and go, well, we want Spielberg, but not that 4 was a bad movie. It wasn't great. There was a lot of things wrong with it, and it is clearly the worst of all the Indiana Jones films.
I disagree. But anyway.
Which one do you think is the worst one?
I don't know about a worse. The production value wise, or cinematically, I would say Temple of Doom is the worst.
Oh, interesting.
4.
Okay, but overall, we're talking overall.
It's my favorite of the 4.
I love Temple
of Doom. But it's the worst of the 4.
Yeah.
There was some egregious editorial chop. It was like someone took a hatchet to that movie, especially towards the end. But
yeah, okay. It's funny. Without you having to say it, I actually know exactly what you're talking about.
You can see some things. You can just envision some of the. Yeah.
But that kind of, but that's like, you just kind of accepted that when you were like a moviegoer back then. You're like,
saying. And this is, and now in this new age, this is the same director, same creative team. The same mistakes are not forgiven, you say. And then people say, well, this is inferior to the other thing. It's the same thing. This is always my argument. It's like the same. It's like the argument about the fridge, nuking the fridge. That's ridiculous. You're watching Indiana Jones. It's all ridiculous. To claim that is that he survived a nuclear explosion in the refrigerator is more ridiculous than a guy reaching into another guy's chest, pulling his heart out, and the guy's
no. See, I won't make that apples to apples argument. That's an apples to oranges argument because it's built around story. No, it's built around story, and that's okay. The surviving a fridge is the same as surviving being dropped out of an airplane down a waterfall and having to land and make
it's not. That's why
that's the
not
apples to apples. That's apples to apples.
That's not apples. I mean, it's the same thing. The entire genre is absurd. The entire thing is based off of serials, where everything is predicated on its absurdity.
Yes.
So to look at it and say, well, this doesn't fit, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I actually don't disagree with you on that either, though. I had no problem with the refrigerator scene. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was to me, it was just as ridiculous as getting knocked out of an airplane with a raft and somehow managing to live without any broken bones.
You slid down an entire mountainside and then ended up in the rapids. Then landed right in front of a village that needed your help.
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%.
Right? Or a knight who's 600 years old who's sitting in a cave waiting for Indiana Jones to walk in.
That to me is to me that argument is apples to apples with the heart argument because it's something supernatural.
But it's absurd. It is supernatural. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is not.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is one is supernatural and one is, well, could that really happen in real life? Situation.
But none of it. Whenever you're comparing anything to, could this really happen in real life? And then you're accepting the fact that he could come across a supernatural specter who is guarding a cup in a cave. It's all absurd. Yeah. It's just it is all just what you allow yourself to digest. But the genre itself did not betray itself. The genre is absurd.
You're right.
If
Mangold gets the gig, what are the odds we see a de-aged Indiana Jones at some point in this movie? A de-aged Harrison Ford.
Maybe. Sure. Why?
I don't know. Good, like high odds or low odds? Like good shot or bad shot that we're going to see a de-age. I think we're going to see.
Why do you ask that? What?
I really want to see a young Harrison Ford again. We have the technology to do it. We've done it now in Ant-Man with Michael Douglas. We've done it in countless films.
To what end, though? To what purpose?
I don't like seeing my heroes get super duper old.
Do you mean is he going to be de-aged through the whole movie?
No, he's not. I know he's not. I'm sure he's not. But
you're
that
just
would
an
actually be my
ageist.
ultimate. That would be
You're
my.
having age problems.
That would be my ultimate wish. Well, I don't want to see. I don't want to see.
Yeah, don't put that on me. That's it's up to you what you want to see. Or
I'm
I don't
asking.
really have
What
a
are the
problem
odds
with
we're going to see that?
I don't care. I don't care.
All right.
I mean, I don't even know what the discussion gains us.
There's no discussion. I just don't want to see him old anymore, man. It's like you know what? When I went to see Pearl Jam
go see the movie
last year, and and Eddie kind of steps out, and you kind of see his silhouette, and before you can actually see him, you just like see like the arms get up, and you're like, oh, there's a little bit of skin hanging down. It's like, dude, that guy's getting old, and it's like, no, my heroes are getting old. Like, he had old elbows. I don't want to see old elbows. I don't want to see old Harrison Ford. I don't want to see a 65-year-old man who's now 75, running around and doing stunts. Like, I just don't. I want to see.
Don't go see the movie. Maybe stay away from it.
No.
These are your problems,
I'm fully aware.
These are your issues because you're not accepting the reality of the situation. You don't know how to face reality.
But this is movies. It's not reality. There is no reality. It's movies. Like you just said. You literally just said it's not reality.
I'm not. Well, the reality of the situation is that the actor who is going to play it is in his, in his 70s.
Reverse that. Come on, James Mangold. Give us the.
So even if he. And then so what? He does it for a few minutes. He does it for a few minutes, and then it's even more blatantly obvious for the rest of the film how old he is, and then you complain about that.
I know.
So that's you. Right. Just don't go see it.
All right. Well,
over and under whether you should go see it or not. I say
under.
I say it's over 50% that you should not go see it.
Oh, okay. Oh, did the reverse on that. I was going under. All right. When we come back, Jim Lee speaks, now the sole publisher of DC Comics, and I'll tell you all about my C2E2 experience when we come back. Check out the all-new Sire Studios website, SireStudiosInc.com. Find all your back issues for The Sire, Mainstream, Undone, and more. And be on the lookout for news and announcements, convention appearances, and brand new podcasts coming to Sire Studios. That address again is SireStudiosInc.com. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night. We are brought to you by all of our beloved patrons, dedicated fans Tom Osa, Craig Caruso, Einar Peterson, Matt Beyer, Omar Morales, Brian Phillips, our program director Stephanie Dolce, and as always our Uber fan Christina Dolce. You can go to patreon.com/Sire Studios to go check us out. And again, reminder, as soon as this broadcast is over on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch, we are available on iHeartRadio, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it, we are out there. All right, last week we talked all about the major news of Dan DiDio being replaced. It happened right before C2E2, which is the... Dan
DiDio, aware of what?
Hang on.
Anybody who's
it is the...
for people who are listening who don't know who Dan DiDio is. And,
he was the chief creative... He was the co-publisher of DC Comics. It happened right before C2E2, which I was going to then explain what C2E2 was, is the Chicago
should explain Dan DiDio first.
Comic Book and Entertainment Expo. Look at that now. Dan DiDio and Jim Lee were supposed to speak as co-publishers of DC, talking about all the new stuff that's going to go on. Instead, it happened a week before, or maybe even days. No, I guess it was a week before. Yeah, it was a week before the show. So they actually pulled the Meet the Publishers panel, but Jim Lee still had a personal spotlight panel, and this is reported on by Newsarama. DC's now sole publisher and chief creative officer Jim Lee has indicated that DC won't replace Dan DiDio at all. There's continually new things going on. I look at being sole publisher now, and the team I'm working with much more in the trenches now than ever before. He's quoted as saying, we've been with Warner Brothers for decades. Lee elaborated, the actual strategy for DC is to put publishing at the center of what we do, responding to the rumors that they were actually AT&T, who recently acquired Warner Brothers, was going to pull the plug on DC Comics. It's my intent going forward as the publisher to lean into the collective years of my team. Lee also seemingly but vaguely addressed rumors that about Marvel acquiring DC Publishing in terms of maybe licensing the characters and or acquiring the rights outright, which have made their way into some internet rumor circles. He shot down any chance of this. He said, to address some of the stuff that is out there, there's rumors, speculation, Lee explained. I wouldn't put any credence into it. DC's been around for 85 years and will be around for another 85 years. I hope to be doing this panel 85 years from now. Lee also spoke about the impending DC's impending 5G initiative. It's hard to talk about things we haven't announced. Intention is not to do a line-wide reboot. Our focus in talking to editorial team is to continue what we've done best, character-driven stories, pairing right creators on right characters. I will add something that was not brought up in this article, but Scott Snyder, who supposedly was feuding with Dan DiDio, was actually flown into C2E2 unannounced and last minute to do a series of panels for DC Comics.
Nice. Okay, so that's cool.
So methinks Scott Snyder won the war, or won the battle at the very least. The Dan DiDio 5G battle was won by Scott Snyder, because that was the rumor. Apparently, that Snyder had such a big problem with all the changes Dan DiDio wanted to make through 5G, including, if you go to our archives, go to secretsofthesire.com, you can listen to it. We talked all about it, but making an ultimate line level change to the existing DC books, and that would be the DC universe. It's not Ultimate Universe where there's like a secondary universe kind of standing next to the normal DC universe. It would be just one universe. It would be things like redefining the mythology of Wonder Woman, redefining Batman, making more diverse representations of pre-existing white characters. There was a whole rumor mill of things that were supposedly supposed to happen, but methinks Scott Snyder won that battle. What's your take on what Jim Lee kind of addressed this panel? What do you think?
I think he's pipe dreaming if he's going to be around in 85 years.
I thought you were about to give a hot take.
Wishful
I think
thinking.
he's pipe dreaming if he thinks DC's not selling the company.
I don't think that's going to happen. You can't. I mean, it's ever diminishing returns. Having the two of them together keeps the competition alive in the industry that Marvel is pulling from, right? Marvel has an invested interest to keep that content alive in as whatever minuscule form possible, so that they can keep the viability of it up, so that they can keep pulling from it to keep making their franchises for however long they want to keep the MCU going. So, I mean, if they decide to pool it all together and put DC and Marvel together, they're actually, in spite of how it would look like they're expanding on their resources, they would actually be diminishing their resources.
Yeah.
So, and I think a business savvy entity like a mega conglomeration such as Disney would know that. They would see the folly in that, and so I'm not going to say they would never do it, but I think they know better than to do it, especially now, especially in this controversy. They may creep up, and 5 years from now you realize they bought Warner Brothers, and so in effect they do own DC Comics.
Yeah.
Or they may buy AT&T and then realize that not only does does Disney own communications in general, but they also own all of comic bookdom.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think
that's when Congress steps in at that point. Well,
maybe. Who knows? Disney may own Congress by then, so it doesn't really matter.
They probably own them right now.
Yeah, they're owned one way or the other. So I just don't think that it would happen now. I don't think you would see it now, where people are openly panicking about that happening.
My whole thing on this too. By the way, I spoke to super guest Fabian Nicieza last week individually.
What exactly makes him a super guest?
He was on like multiple times. Like Pat Shan would be a super guest. Darren Sanchez, yes.
So I'm a super host because I've been on multiple times.
Well, I would hope your designation as host would be enough. I mean, you're not a super host. It's not like you guest hosted here.
No, I've been on many times. I mean, if that's the only distinction.
You're already a lord, though. You can't be a lord and a super.
I can do whatever I want. I'm an American.
Unless you're Lord Super. I mean, then
I'm Super Lord.
That's just stupid.
Super Lord. Super Lord.
That's a really insecure Lord. It's like Lord, like it's not enough to just call me Lord.
I never said I was not insecure.
It's not enough to call me Lord. I need to be a Super Lord.
Super Lord. Super Lord.
Do you get together with your Lord friends and you're like, you're like, by
I don't
the way,
no.
I'm a Super Lord, and the rest
all
of them
my
like,
friends are underlings.
They're like, F you.
Yeah. You can't ding a F.
I just did because I'm a super maximum lord.
Oh, see, we're talking about insecurity. All right, well, all right. Well,
just telling it like it is, my man. Just telling it like it is. No, so here's my only thing on this. Right, yeah, Lee was taken surprise, supposedly, by the ousting of Dan DiDio. As much as I want to believe him, and I think I believe that he believes what he's saying. You know, he sits there and says, I wouldn't give much credence to it. It doesn't exactly fill me with the confidence level that he actually has any say in what ends up happening. Like, ultimately, I feel like that kind of thing is going to be above him anyway. He's the chief creative officer and publisher. But the last thing Jim Lee is going to probably want to do, having met him and you know, having an acquaintance-like relationship with him, I mean, he's going to want to get in and make really good comics. He's going to want to get in and do something from a storytelling level because that's what he's great at. Not just good at.
It sounds like the conciliatory speech that someone makes after something devastating has just happened to their worldview. You know, well, you know, I hope to be here. Whenever someone talks about being around decades after, you know, like exaggerates how long that they hope to be doing this thing. It is. And it's not to say he won't become. Of dubiousness.
It's not to say he won't become aware of things, and he will probably become aware of things before the news hits. Right. But it's not like he's sitting there in the meetings with AT&T. At least, look, this is my best guess, where AT&T is sitting there, you know, some suit in a boardroom somewhere. It's just like, hey, give it to Marvel. I love those movies. You know, let's license them out.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's genius.
I would think that AT&T would be looking at Marvel and looking at the accomplishments that MCU made and realize that they have their own entity with just as much a rich history, with just as many decades, if not more decades, behind them.
Yeah.
And behind it, and you know, they arguably own the greatest superhero franchise that has ever been you know, produced. So I think to get rid of that asset or just sell that asset off, even if they don't know what to do with it right now.
Yeah.
I think to sell that off would be stunningly short-sighted.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, again, I don't think
even the DCEU is a $1 billion franchise.
Right.
Even though it is second to Marvel, it's still the number 2 of the greatest movie franchise that we've ever seen in history.
Yeah.
So I think to sell off the source material to that would be, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. It's corporate, you know, they make dumb decisions.
But that's my point. That's my point. And Jim Lee, we all sit there and say, this sounds like the dumbest idea known to man.
I know.
That don't mean it ain't going to happen. And to be honest with you,
of course not.
That doesn't mean that Jim Lee is really going to have a say in it, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, look, it doesn't pay to be meta about.
I'm not trying to stir the pot here. I'm not trying to create rumors where there are none, and I'm not trying to be a bringer of bad news. I'm just merely looking at that, saying.
I'm not saying it's you. I just say it doesn't pay to be meta about the information that you're being given when you don't know anything about the information.
Sure.
If you're like, well, corporate wise, this sounds like, you know, something somebody would say when they don't really know what they're saying. And yes, maybe so. But for the time being, to second guess or to sidestep his words with speculation, now you're in speculation territory. Now you're not dealing with facts. You're not dealing with information, genuine information anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I just caution the industry about that, because that's endlessly what keeps getting us into trouble. Like, this is what he said, but what he really means is, you know, and it's like, okay. And then usually what happens is you compound vagary with speculation, and what do you call that? Speculation or theory, right? And then none of it all explodes into disinformation, and none of it is true. And before you know it, you've lowered the value of whatever information that you actually do have, because you're too busy trying to get around the lie to get to whatever fabricated truth you think is there. Look, if Jim Lee says, look, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to continue to do this, I'm going to make more information available to you as soon as humanly possible, but we're still going ahead with that, it doesn't pay necessarily to think past him on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we could be cautiously optimistic about it, but let's listen to what he says and see what happens.
Yeah.
Just between you and I, if we're having that conversation, personally. I mean, in our industry, we're supposed to second guess everything and jawbone the entire situation to death. But I don't know if that is going to serve us in this particular situation. We
will indeed wait and see. Real quick before we go to break, had a great time at C2E2. Got to see a lot of friends of the show. Victor Dandridge was there, who has been a guest on the show before and will be affiliated with us going forward as well too. Joe Mulvey, got to spend some time there, which was with him was great. Jeff Gomez from Starlight Runner, who we'll actually talk about.
I know that guy.
In the next segment as well too, was there for some really cool Ultraman related things, which was awesome, and got to meet super guest Chris Arendt in person. That dude is so much taller in person than his Twitter picture alludes to. I had never actually met him nor seen pictures of him. Just his Twitter profile, which every time he's on the show.
Is there a size scale involved in his Twitter profile? Did they give you a size comparison?
No, but when you see it, just a little thumbnail, and it's like the neck up. Like I just assume, like for some reason, the little.
I think the point of your statement is that it gives you a thumbnail. Like you do.
Yes, yes.
I don't know why you would try to gauge.
I've never seen pictures of him before, and every time he's on the show, he always calls in. He never shows the video. So, Chris, you're
probably
an awesome
not
dude.
Him. He's catfishing you.
You are an awesome dude,
never seen him in person.
And you are wonderful. It was great to finally meet you in person. So much taller than I expected.
It wasn't him. I don't think it was him.
Apparently, I was so much shorter to him than he had assumed.
I think he was a beard.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true at all. Actually, I just thought it'd be.
I think he's a little alien in his giant
beard,
Chris Arendt suit.
His beard.
He was.
It's real and it's spectacular. All right, when we come back, we go spinning the racks and we get to make the first of many huge announcements to come in the following weeks. Secrets of the Sire is going rogue. What does that mean? We'll let you know next. I'm everything my 19-year-old self fought hard to not be.
Yes, you are the.
Like 19-year-old self is like,
you've become what you hate. You've become the enemy.
19-year-old self, don't sell out. Yeah, 39-year-old self is like,
sell out every night.
Out. Like, sell it out, baby.
First sign of trouble. First sign of trouble, sell out.
Secrets of the Sire. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every week. We go spinning the comics to movies racks, bringing you the inside information of all the stuff happening in the comic book world that will soon translate into the small and big screen. This is Spinning the Racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Ultraman is coming to a comic book store near you, courtesy of Marvel Comics. Ultraman revealed their upcoming plans with Marvel Comics at C2E2. Subaraya Productions is thrilled to announce the story details and artist lineup for the Marvel Comics Ultraman series, The Rise of Ultraman, which is coming later this year. It was revealed to a packed house by Marvel Editor-in-Chief C.B. Sapolsky at C2E2. It will be co-written by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom with art by Francesco Manna, covers by Ed McGuinness. You can see the Ed McGuinness covers right now on UltramanGalaxy.com. And personally, I got to tell you right now, go to that website and hopefully don't bash it because I built it. So I'm just very excited that everyone gets to go to see Ultraman Galaxy. Yes, the fine folks at Sire Studios / MBD Studios Inc., which is basically just me, and a couple other folks is responsible for launching that site. And I'm just giving myself a little pat on the back for that.
What a change.
I know. Ad hocking. Were you an Ultraman guy by any chance? Were you a big Ultraman fan?
No.
No? What was it that turned you off to it?
We didn't get Ultraman really that much when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We got Godzilla, and we got we got the Toho movies, and then we got Jet Jaguar, which kind of was Ultraman, was an Ultraman-ish.
Yeah.
But I didn't really get Ultraman as a series or as an entity, an entertainment entity when I was young. So I either missed out, I was following the wrong circles, or it just didn't come around when I was young in the early 80s and late 70s, early 80s. I
told someone recently, it's amazing. Ultraman has like these like little closet fans everywhere that you wouldn't even guess. Like I was at like a meeting, a networking meeting, and I mentioned, hey, I just launched the Ultraman website, and his face went, like that scene in Simpsons when Milhouse learns, or everyone learns that like they're casting the Fallout Boy role, and everyone's like hat kind of like goes off into the vent.
No, because I don't watch.
Aren't you a Simpsons? You're old school Simpsons fan.
Nope.
Radioactive Man episode, one of the greatest episodes of all time.
Okay.
No.
No.
Oh my God! I have to lock you in a. What is? No! I refuse. I refuse to be co-hosts with someone who does not revere early Simpsons the way I do.
Then we're making an announcement.
Ready to announce it. Wait! What a great segue. Secrets of Sire is going rogue. What does that mean? It means next week is the last episode of Secrets of the Sire. That's crazy, right? Look at you.
Yes.
We're actually not kidding. I'm actually not even joking. That is an official announcement. We are going rogue. We will be part of a much larger network, and over the next 2 weeks, we'll be in the course of rebranding and renaming the show. The focus will be the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. So basically, we get to kind of do the same thing that we're doing pretty much for the last 211 episodes, but 212 will be Sayonara Sire. Sire Studios will remain a separate entity, and we'll be continuing to do some awesome comics. So I will definitely shamelessly be plugging myself and Hassan throughout the course of it, no matter what the suits say. But we'll have some suits, and we'll have some really cool, cool new and exciting things. This all leads up to a major announcement happening immediately following San Diego Comic-Con. So stay tuned. We're going rogue. Next week, we're gonna preview Bloodshot, and we're also gonna have a Sayonara Sire bash. Episode 212 will be the end of Secrets of the Sire as we know it. See you guys next week. Secrets of the Sire.